Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fire Up. Let's get fired up for tonight. Yes, our title, a legend. And no, I'm not talking about the two guys that are in this broadcast with me, but
Sure you are. We're just legends in our own mind.
that's our title, and that'll determined later. But let's talk a little bit about who I have here on my show, Fire Up tonight. I have next to me would be Ralph Williams. Good evening, Ralph.
How are you, Candy? Thank you, as always,
Doing,
for having me on.
of course. Thank you for being on. And then underneath both of us is Smoking Jeremy B. How are you, Smoking Jeremy B?
I'm freaking fantastic. Other than the fact
So,
the heat's almost melting me up here.
Yeah, we got the heat too. So
hey, welcome to my world most days.
I know. I lived in Florida too, remember? I talked about this.
I do, I do, I do.
why'd you move back to the cold, Jeremy? I would have stayed down in Florida.
I fell in love.
Ah, I see.
I married, had a kid, and she decided she wanted the kid more than a husband.
Ah,
It happens, especially in
so
today's age.
yes, it does.
so we having a good week?
I had a good week. Yeah, I stayed in my apartment most of the week because of the heat. So I'm diabetic. I have to watch I can't go out in a severe cold and I can't go out in extreme heat. So I stay home. I don't, go out.
I get it. I get it.
The only time I'm going out is Sunday. I'm going to Indiana, PA for a independent wrestling event. My friend Bubba Brewer is putting on. And yeah, EC3, the heavyweight champion for NWA, will be there. So I can take some pictures and talk to him and all that. So, you know.
Well, the title of our show is a legend, and the reason why we're talking about a legend, hello RXJ, is R.I.P. Willie Mays. For those of you that haven't heard, which I can't believe in the sporting world, if you haven't already heard that Willie Mays passed away this week, they are actually playing the game tonight. It's the San Francisco Giants against the St. Louis Cardinals, and they're playing it in Birmingham, which is where Willie Mays first entered the baseball scene in the Negro League, and they're honoring them. Well, they honored him before the game, and they're just having all little tributes. And honestly, it's been really cool. They talked to Reggie Jackson before the game. It was before or during the game, and he was telling how like they didn't allow them in the locker rooms, how they called them the word here and there, and it's really been a history lesson. So if any of you haven't seen it or want to watch it, it is on right now. I mean, don't watch it while you're watching our show, but you can watch it afterwards or so. But some of the history that we tend to forget, and I don't think we go back and look at history enough. And the game of baseball would not be the same as it is today without all of these legends like Willie Mays and all of the past players. So my question to both of you, you can say what you want about Willie
Okay.
Mays and the legend, but I also would like who has been one of your favorite players that you have watched over the years, whether you were when you were growing up or player now. It can be from your team now, or it doesn't have to be. But who is one of your favorite players that you have watched over the years?
You know what, Candy? That's a very good question there because I have a lot of guys that I watched over the years that I really liked. But the one person is the Pittsburgh Pirates, Willie Stargell and Dave Parker. I'm going to put both of them in the same category because they both were great players for the Pirates. That's how we won World Series championships. And, Dave Parker had one of the strongest arms in the league. He could throw you out at home plate deep in right field or whatever. And, so that would be my two favorites. Now, if you want me to go off the Pirates, I would say probably, uh, what's his name? Played for the Oakland A's. Oh, man.
Ricky,
Who?
Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, he was a good player.
Unfortunately,
The Williams guy that played for New York Yankees. Bernie Williams. He was, I liked him.
Alex Mariano.
Roger Clemens. So there's a bunch of guys.
Um,
His first name was Mark, and I can't remember his doggone name for the life of me. Played
from
for the
which team?
Oakland A's. Who?
Oh, McGuire.
Yeah, Mark McGuire. I liked him. Yeah, so
You're in my wheelhouse of players. Let's talk about the ones that were on my team that I saw as a rookie, as a kid, because I do somewhere in my massive amounts of boxes of crap I've collected over the years. I do have the miniature of the Detroit Tigers rookies that year, where it had Lance Parrish and Alan Trammell on the same card.
yes,
Um,
yes,
Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, Reggie Jackson. Uh, let's keep going. Pete Rose was an amazing player. He just was a shitty manager for gambling on his team. But uh, Ozzie Smith,
yes.
Cal Ripken Jr.
You can name
Uh,
a lot of people. It's just it's a big list.
Taylor Perry.
Yeah, they were great
He wasn't
people.
a big name, but he was a great pitcher that just was unheralded and one of the few and early knuckleballers that kept it going. I remember watching the game when he got his 3,000th strikeout against my Tigers. But
If I'm
um,
gonna go to my team obviously was the Brewers growing up. I'd have to say Robin Yount. Like he was just one of
Oh
the
man, he was the
he's,
what they call the staple for the team. I mean, he
he was
represented the team really well
who was
back in
the
them days, Candy.
outfielder? Ryan.
Ryan Braun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that guy
yeah.
too.
He was good, except he was caught with PEDs numerous times.
Oh my god. Yeah, don't address that.
Yep. Got Miggy, obviously
Thank
Randy
you, thank you,
Johnson.
RXJ. Thank you.
Yes. And Prince Fielder, I loved his dad, Cecil Fielder, who
Right.
played for the Yankees and the Tigers, and also went overseas and played for the Tokyo team, if I remember right, when he went to the Japanese league after he left the Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
We signed him off of his stint with the the
Right.
Tokyo team,
You
and
know
he
who?
got and
You know.
just was raking the ball.
Oh yeah. You know who coached in Japanese league was Bobby Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he coached and won a World Series there or whatever. So
But yes, he did clear the parking lot too. So did Kirk Gibson back in '84, and I wish I could find it because I used to have the '84 Tigers yearbook that I bought to go to Tigers Fest that year in Frankenmuth. Back when you could meet about 5 or 6 players from the team and the coach, and I had Sparky, Dan Petrie, Jack Morris, Chet Lemon, Rick Leach, Kirk Gibson, and there was one other guy there, and I just can't remember.
Hello, Joshua.
Hello,
yes,
Josh.
hello, Josh.
I just can't
How are
remember
you?
who one was, but I had all of them sign it. And the only game I go to, Kirk Gibson hits this towering fly ball out of the park. When they finally found it, it was across the street because there was the one side where there was no parking lot. It was right there by the street, and it landed on top of the roof of the Ace Lumberyard warehouse across the street. So I remember all this. I wrote it down. They said it estimated it traveled 758 feet.
Wow, that
But
is
the report came out
crazy.
the next day how far it flew.
And Joshua, hello, glad to see you in the chat room. You're asking where is Scotty? Scott is not feeling the greatest. He is having some throat issues, and so doctor told him really he should kind of take it a
Take it
little more.
easy.
So decided that tonight was probably best to leave it to us three. So he's taking the night off. He's actually watching the baseball game when they're playing in Birmingham. Alabama, the historic game, I should say.
Yeah, the Pirates play tomorrow night. They're off tonight, Candy. I think they're probably going to have something to do with Willie Mays. Some kind of celebration or dedication or whatever. So
Mm-hmm. Smoking Jeremy B. Josh was asking you a question.
I'll watch hockey when the Red Wings are relevant again.
That's a fair.
yeah, I'll tell you what, Jeremy. I don't watch it. I don't watch it. I just follow it a little bit, but I don't watch it unless the Penguins are in it. I've done that already. So
I'll tell you, I have been watching, obviously, with the Panthers playing for the Cup. I have been watching the Cup series, and it's been a game of, how should I say, streaks or trends, because when Florida's hot, they're hot, but the last couple games, obviously, when they lost 8-1, they were not hot at all that game. And they always say that you win or lose really in hockey by your goalie. And so Bobowski was doing really well, and these last two games he hasn't done it quite as well. So, Joshua, you're saying Panthers in 6. I know Scott said Panthers in 7. So, game 6 is tomorrow night. They're allowing 2 days worth of travel these games because there's 2,541 miles in between the two. So that's quite the trek.
It's called jet lag.
yeah.
Games. They're not taking a bus. They're not driving there. They're flying and jet
Well,
lag. Anytime you cross
well,
and get that edge
something. I wanted to bring this up here a little bit, Candy, if I may. Uh, it's been a rough week or rough couple weeks for sports. You had Jerry West, you had Bill Walton, you had and now Willie Mays. So I mean, you had guys it's just been a tough week, and you know what they say, they always die in threes. So, here we are. This is the third person, and that's just it's sad. It really is.
It is, and then Donald Sutherland died as
Passed
well
away.
today.
Yes, yes.
So we've had some big name people lately.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Yes, unfortunately. They do say that they normally come in threes. And I personally have known of 3 or been affected by 3 lately. So it has not been good news. Although one of my good friends, her son announced that he is having another baby. So
Oh,
with death comes the birth. So you got to look for the good things in life, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I was just bringing that up as a point that sports was tough this last couple of
It has
weeks.
been
You know.
a lot of legends from
Yes,
the different
absolutely.
sports.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I asked you guys, baseball wise, who has been one of your favorite players to watch? Now let's go to football. Who's been one of your favorite players to watch in the football arena?
Oh,
Uh,
And
that's
I'm
really?
going
another
to
tough one.
limit it to 2 players. You can name
Okay.
2 players.
Okay. Franco Harris and Dan Marino.
Okay.
Joe Montana and Billy Sims. I gotta stick with my guy. Uh, he's
How
been
about?
my
I
favorite.
thought you'd say Barry Sanders because he played for
Billy,
Detroit.
Billy Sims was my first love in my OG 20, not knowing that Lem Barney wore the 21st.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
How about yours, Candy?
You know, I was trying to think about that, but to be honest with you, my first that I really liked to watch was John Elway. And
Yeah.
that's probably surprising, but I'm probably my second was probably Brett Favre. I mean, he was just a gunslinger. He took, he'd throw it wherever he wanted to. He didn't care if it was going to get. I mean, obviously he cared if it was going to get intercepted, but he was just that free for all kind of letting it just fly and letting it happen. So, um, yeah, I think we're not going to do it tonight, but I think on one of our next shows, I would like to do like a bucket list of, our favorite like position players, and I'd like to do a bucket list of favorite Stadiums. Oh yeah, Drew Brees was amazing. Yes, and Peyton Manning was good as well. I mean, obviously, yeah, the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady duos a couple times, and um, but but to maybe even list like at one point our favorite from each position. Like if you were gonna do an all-star team, and it doesn't have to be from one decade, who would be at each position? So that might be something we think about. At least the big positions.
I can rattle mine off right now.
That's funny. That's
So
funny.
that's for next week then, Candy. I have homework to do.
I don't know about next week, but
I was going through it and I was like, okay, quarterback, got it. Running back, got it. Because you got to remember, there's a fullback in there because that
Yeah.
actually is a position that I think needs to come back if running backs want to be relevant in the league again.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially if you're our team, Steelers. We're doing a running game, power running game with Arthur Smith.
You guys pick up Xander Horvath, the fullback that's
Yeah.
been in agency? You guys did, didn't you?
Yeah, we have him. Yeah.
Oh God, I envy you because 6'3", 240 pounds, runs a 4.5 40. Do you know what those exact stats are coming out of Purdue? Hall of Famer Mike Allstott.
Oh, absolutely. He was one of the best.
And he came out of Purdue with that exact same height, that exact same weight, that exact same 40 time, and all the skills that he matched. He was within 0.1 or 0.01 of every single measurable statistic that Mike Allstott had in the combine back then. How amazing is that? I mean, so if somebody is willing to take the time and develop a fullback because he does have hands, he can run the ball. He played halfback too, so he's actually he's one of those guys that's an all rounder.
Right. Well, we have a couple of our tight ends, Jeremy, that are H backs. They call them. Like Connor Hayward will go in the backfield and block, and some other guys. So
Right.
We'll see where it goes this year.
Now, Connor and Cam are still Craig's kids, right?
Yes.
Ironhead.
Yes, both of them.
You remember those old commercials?
I watched him at Pitt. Went to the games at Pitt when he was a running back. Oh my gosh, that guy could hammer the ball down the field. And he knocked 3-4 guys over. I mean, it was crazy.
He was the original bowling ball with legs.
Absolutely.
So we do have to give kudos to the Boston Celtics, who won the NBA Finals this week.
Yes, they did.
And they overtook the Lakers by winning their 18th championship. But the Lakers can't leave that alone. They got to be in the spotlight. They couldn't let the Celtics have their moments or a week or anything. They got to come up with news of themselves to bring, the focus back to them. Speaking of that, they are hiring Redick, ESPN color commentator JJ Redick, on a 4-year contract that will pay him around $8 million per season. He is now the 6th coach in the league to be hired without any prior experience as an assistant or head coach in the NBA, college, or international since 2010.
Is it funny that 3 of them have been on teams that LeBron James played?
I'm sorry, what was that, Jeremy?
3 of those guys with no head coaching experience.
Head coaching experience, yes.
3 of them have been hired by teams that LeBron has been on.
Has been on, yeah. He was in Cleveland. They hired, somebody, So it does. It happens all the time with him.
And,
because he wants to be the man and he wants to be the coach. You can't do both of them.
Eric Spoelstra didn't have head coaching experience in Miami either, did he?
No, not at all.
So that's 4 for LeBron.
LeBron, I like it. I like that one, and I like the Matt Patricia one you say. What's that?
But Scott wants on his show for us to be respectful and call him by name.
Yeah.
When we get to my show, I'll give you that nickname again.
Okay. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
next week with that one.
Yep.
So,
But Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, how much better is this team without them?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But look at even the Pistons decided to fire their coach.
I
And was
don't
that
agree.
fair?
No. Number one, Tom Gores wanted Monty Williams as a coach so much. He threw enough money that he finally said, okay. He turned him down 3 times and he got to that money and said, okay, yeah, we'll bring you in. Now, if the guy didn't want to coach and you have a awful roster that's created by your GM, I don't care how good of a coach you are, you're not going to coach that team to a playoff berth.
Especially the first year. You
Right.
got to give him time.
So by getting a new GM, and I think it's more the new GM than anything else, because Tom Gores wanted Monty. I think he said, hey, we got to reset the whole thing. We're going to keep 2 core players. We're going to gut the roster. We're going to start over and get it right to get it there in 2 years.
Mm.
But at the same time, to blame the coach when that roster was that devoid of defensive talent, and yes, I say devoid of defensive talent. Those guys they averaged 103 points a game and couldn't win but 12.
Yeah, that's because when you don't have a good defense to offset that, and then your offense has to pick up the slack like that, that's not right. I mean, yeah.
What's crazy about it, the first year when we drafted Isaiah Stewart, he was actually a good rim defender. The
Who's
next
Jay?
year, he means me.
Oh,
But he was actually a good rim defender. He was doing good rebounding. He was blocking shots at the rim the first year. Remember, I think they almost made the playoffs
yes,
that
yes,
first year with Killian Hayes and the awful
right,
roster around them, but they had a couple of, like Jeremy Grant. We traded for him and got him to play in that with that rookie system. And we gutted the roster of Blake Griffin's big contract.
right. Yeah, oh yeah. You have to with this salary cap now. You know, in some of these leagues like the NBA, you can't just go out there and get what you know what I mean, and just spend all kinds of money. Got to balance your salary cap. We've seen that in football.
I think the core they need to keep, there's 3 players. It's Ivy, Duran, and Cade. And then get an actual shooting guard instead of demoting a point guard that didn't work out in the draft. Getting an actual number 5 and a true center. Other than that, I don't think we need beef stew anymore. I don't think we need to do that. And as far as Cade's concerned, he improved greatly last year under Monty's coaching, and nobody realizes it because the team was so bad.
Oh, absolutely.
Turnovers by 1.2 per game, and he played 60 games. He missed 22 due to injury and load management and whatever. But in 60 games, at 1.2 less turnovers per game, people, that's 61 and a half turnovers he didn't have from the year before.
Absolutely.
So he actually did improve.
I don't have this statistic and I don't know the answer, but I wonder how many former coaches NBA teams are paying right now to not coach their team. Because I know the Bucks had like 3 on
Right.
their payroll. You know, now the Pistons owe him $65 million.
Whoa.
At least, yeah, we're paying him $65 million over the
Oh
next
my
2 years.
gosh.
They
To
just
sit
gave him a
out.
6-year contract for $78 million, and he only made it through
And
1
then
year.
they fire. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Wow. That's bad management. I mean, come on. I mean, oh my gosh. Wow.
These owners got money; they can do it.
That's crazy. To cut a coach and pay him all that money. That's like the Bobby Bonilla thing. They got to pay him every year or whatever. And he don't play. And he's still. I think he's got a few more years left on that deal.
I mean, I
God,
can see
man.
that a couple years left, but to give him a 6-year contract and then to shut it down only after 1 year, that's kind of sad. I mean,
Yeah.
for Monty, hey, he gets to sit back now and he's collecting $65 million. to not coach. And I think his wife was ill. And
Oh, okay.
so he'll have time now. I know he does want to eventually get back into coaching, but he's going to
I
take some
would.
time off. 65 million, I would take some time off too.
I wouldn't do it. I'd sit back and say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Take some trips, golf, whatever retirees do. That's what I would do. So,
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's
although I
another.
can't golf because I'm in a wheelchair. So,
I remember that one. That was while I was kind of still watching hockey for a minute. And here's the crazy thing: as bad as the Pistons were, they still won more games in the month of March than the Red Wings. If the Red Wings would have won 4 games, they'd have been in the playoffs.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Red
That's
Wings
all they
haven't
had to
been
do is win
they haven't
4
been
games.
viable in a long time there, Jeremy.
I know. Ever since the
Wow.
salary cap.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when they were so prominent in some of the games between them and the Penguins, and some of their games like that. That was
You
so
knew which team would winning by how many guys got injured during the game
got it
between the
right.
Pistons and the Red Wings. If there was more people injured, the other team won.
I'd have to check that RxJ. Or are the Islanders still paying Rick DiPietro? Wow.
I'm a big hockey guy. Wayne made the playoffs like 26. Yes, they did.
You did?
But
Mm-hmm.
and they got what, 10 championships altogether?
Something like that, yeah.
But 4 of their last 6 championships, if anybody says any word on Bates and Badgley, that's the competition. There's no camp for another 2 weeks, so there won't be any words on it.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
At that point, 4 of those 6 years, we had the highest salary in the league because there was no salary cap, including the last one we won. I think it was what? Was that 16?
Could be.
But I know it was the last one we won. They had the highest salary in the league that year. So when I hear some people say, "Oh, we never bought a championship," I was like, "Well, when there's no salary cap, they did what the 49ers do. Multiple presidents. Yes, absolutely. But you see what I'm saying there. They were
Oh,
buying
absolutely.
championships. Mike Ilitch was like, "Hey, I got a championship team. I'm going to keep it rolling. Give me Chris Chelios. Give me Brendan Shanahan. Give me Paul Coffey. Give me Dino Ciccarelli. Give me all these guys."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2008
Hey,
was the last one they won. They were
yeah,
in the 2009 in the finals, but they lost to Pittsburgh there.
That was the year
yes,
the
they did. Yeah,
produced the 8-9 season.
yes, that was Sidney Crosby's first and Malkin's first Stanley Cup that they won because they lost another one. They lost one. So,
Yeah, it is the way they had to do it because that's what it was allowed. But as soon as it wasn't allowed, as much as I hate to say it, Ken Holland couldn't build a great team with a budget.
no,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough. It's tough to do. I mean, especially like you said with a salary cap. Penguins right now got egg on their face. They got so many players and that they gave guaranteed contracts to too many players and now they can't do anything. They're stuck.
I'm going to say it right now. I hope we don't re-sign Struble. I hope we do trade him by the deadline because that's the only way we're going to improve this roster. We need way too much. There is no core. It's Riley Green and Tariq Struble. And right now, he has the highest value he'll have because there's 2 controlling years of rookie deal left. So you deal him and let somebody else pay him, and you get a boatload of prospects and draft picks back. That's what you do in compensation. That's how you build a team. That's how a lot of these teams got built the right way. I like some of the signings we've done, but we haven't signed any stars because really, we're not one piece away with the Tigers. So when you're talking about Tigers,
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
I'm sorry, Candy. I had to take my picture off here. As you know, I have issues with my neck. In the last couple of days, it's been a problem. I'm getting an MRI tomorrow. So,
No problem. No problem.
yeah,
Torkelson
brutal
won.
luck. Yeah, Yeah, it's been bad. And I said that's where Torkelson needs to go. The Torkel's problem is mental and mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
He started struggling early in the season, and he went from a level swing to an uppercut swing, which is never good in baseball because the ball travels too fast these days. These guys are throwing 93 to 100 miles an hour on a regular basis. So if you're swinging up, you're swinging down then up. You're not doing a level swing. You're taking away from your velocity of your bat, and you're trying to force the trajectory for a home run instead of letting it be a natural flowing swing, which is actually faster and makes better contact.
Correct. Well, guys, is there any topics you want to bring to the table tonight before we do our My Town?
Acting actor legend Donald Sutherland passed away today. That man has a laundry list of accolades and movies he's been in. What a fantastic actor. And I'm sorry to see him go. So that's two legends. And that's when you said a legend, I didn't know which way you were going.
Yep.
And it's a sports talk, but we talk a
Oh,
little bit more than just sports.
we
Sports,
do.
absolutely. Yes.
But what
Yes.
we don't talk, because this is not the show for it, is politics. So if you got your politics, keep them at home.
Correct.
No, I save that for my show on Wednesday, Ralph's Opinion. That's where I save the politics. So,
I've seen that. It's actually pretty good, Ralph.
oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I didn't know he actually died here in Miami, Florida. I didn't
Donald
know he.
Sutherland. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's sad. I mean, he had a long illness, saying, but he has done so many different. I mean, he did MASH, he did Clute, he did Ordinary People, The Hunger Games. Man, he did a lot of different.
I don't know, but if the attendance at Comerica Park keeps dwindling, we may see prices like at the Carolina Panthers games last year.
Oh my, that's
The
interesting.
Marlins aren't doing much better.
Right, I heard that their seats are down to $52 a piece.
It's
Oh
crazy.
wow, got to take out a loan there. Our seats are, some of them were pretty expensive, but $52. Wow.
That's a cheap seat. That's a cheap
Yeah.
seat these days because the grandstand at Comerica Park, and I'm not talking nosebleeds. I'm talking about good seats are $52 at Marlins games right now. But the cheap seats at the last time I went to a Tigers game, let's see what year was that. That was just the year before COVID, so 2019. Uh, it was $48 for the grandstand,
Wow.
but that gave you a discount on the hot dogs and pop. It was one of their meal deal things, so it wasn't that bad. I mean,
Here,
that meant
I'll tell you a little story. They had dollar dog night, and one time our church went, and my pastor had like 10 of them or something like that. But then what had happened was they stopped doing that now. They have dollar dog night, and you're only allowed to have two. So, and there's only one stand now that has them, because what happens is when you have a promotion like that, you spend more time in the waiting for your hot dogs than and then you have to watch the game on the TVs out there. So, who wants to do that? I mean, I don't, but I know folks that have. So,
and guess what? That's a meal deal ticket there for the Marlins too.
thank
It's
you, RXJ, for the compliment on PNC Park. So,
it is beautiful. I've seen it on the video game.
That's going to be one of our shows one day. Is we're going to talk about what parks have we been to that we really like, and which ones are on our bucket list to see, and not just ballparks, but football stadiums and the like.
I've, I've been to quite a few, a lot more than people realize, because I've been to some places during off seasons or when the teams were away. When you don't have to pay to get in, you just got to ask the security guard to call down and get clearance. It isn't like it is nowadays. I mean, you're talking 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different time back then.
Yep, I would agree. Well, guys, I think it's time to do My Town. So, Jeremy, let's start with you. What's happening in your town?
Well, all the buzz has already been brought up in the chat. Jack Bates, the UFL kicker that kicked a 64-yarder to win his first game, went 20 of 27 total, missing all of his 7 of his misses minus 1 were outside. He missed 1 extra point inside. He was 100% at Ford Field at home, indoors, on his field goals with a long of 64. I'm going to repeat that loud and clear because the Lions play 14 games indoors this season. The 9 at home and 5 on the road. They only have 3 outdoor games. That's the
I
Packers,
know
the
one.
Bears, and the San Francisco.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's
So
interesting. They should win a lot of games then. You know. So
James Turner got waived. You know why? Because you heard about his good days, but you didn't hear about his bad days because they were that bad. James
wow.
Turner was good at really at kicking off, and he had 3 days where he didn't miss a field goal. The other 7 days of camp, they had 6 days of camp because we forfeited one by having a contact day in OTAs.
Yes,
uh,
and the Packers
he had
picked him
awful.
up. I know.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
you guys need a kicker. I was surprised you didn't take one of the ones in the draft while you had that many picks late.
You know, I don't know what he's doing, but they have 3 kickers now. They just let one go. Now they picked him, James Turner up. I think it's really just to do the competition thing. I really think they really want to put a little pressure on Carlson and see. But
Carlson, his leg hasn't been the same since he left LA, right? Isn't that where he was at one time?
Yeah. Yeah. He
Uh,
mhm,
was in L.A.
and that's an indoor stadium, people.
Yeah.
mhm.
SoFi.
So, and then he went to Vegas, which was indoors, and then he went to the Packers.
And
Indoors great, outdoors not so much.
it's
And
definitely
when
different kicking outdoors than it is indoors.
yeah, you got to know how to adjust for the wind. And guys that play on home fields that are indoors struggle with kicking in the wind all the time. Jason Hansen, as good as he was, a majority of his misses came on away games.
Hmm.
Same
Hmm.
with Matt Prater. Same with all those great kickers. If you look, the only one that's been a great kicker, whether he's indoor or out, Justin Tucker. You know why? He plays in an outdoor stadium. Sebastian Janikowski.
Right.
Oakland was an outdoor stadium.
Yes.
Mason
Absolutely.
Crosby was good for us for how many years?
Uh, God, I think he got what 3
I'll
contracts from the Packers before he finally left.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. The one great kicker in the league was Gary Anderson until he missed that one field goal in Minnesota.
And his brother and
Yeah.
his twin brother Morton, right?
Morton Anderson was a good kicker as well. Yes.
Is that
But one
it for
played
you
for
for?
Atlanta, and the other one played outdoors for Pittsburgh.
You're right. Right.
Hmm. Ralph?
It's good to pay attention to those stats. Is look at somebody's outdoor miss percentage versus their indoor when they are an indoor kicker, because
Oh yeah.
an indoor kicker that kicks good still kicks good indoors. Oh, I remember that game. It cost them that game.
Yes,
You
it did.
remember it, don't you, Candy?
I remember that game too. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
But Ralph, what's happening in my town?
Well, my town, what's going on is we have a big time heat wave here. We just had some storms. People don't have electric, and that's sad because it's so hot. But we're getting there. Steelers and Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. That saga's going on. Cam Hayward still doesn't have a contract, so we're a new contract. So we'll see where that's going to go. Training camp comes up at the end of July, and the Pirates aren't doing too bad. They're 2 games away from 500 and trying to stay in that wild card race. And the Riverhounds, well, they keep losing games, but they're not losing by much. So that's pretty much what's going on. In our women's football team, the Pittsburgh Passion, are 6-0. They end their season 6-0 and are going to playoffs, possibly winning a championship. So that's
Okay.
yeah.
what's going on. That's what's going on in my town. Excuse me for a minute. That's what's going on in my town.
RXJ, they took that rumor and ran with it because remember, just before they started doing the trailers for EA Sports, that rumor came out that Justin Fields will be returning kicks.
No, I don't think so. He's going to be a quarterback. Once in a while, you're going to see a package of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields on the same field.
Oh, I know.
So
I was just replying to his comment.
oh, I know. Everyone thinks he's going to be a kick returner, punt returner, cleaning toilets. They think he's going to be doing all that stuff. So
I know. I've heard all sorts of crazy rumors about him.
Oh, by the way, today they had a big dedication today at PNC Park. I forgot to tell everybody. They put windows in the bathrooms. You know why? So you could pee and see.
Oh my goodness.
Love it.
Okay, so for my town, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Panthers. Obviously, they're going for the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
They were there last year and they missed it. So if you remember how you felt at the end of last year, I would hope you would take that energy and get it done now here in 6. It's going to be hard because let's face it, they are on the road for this 6th game. And Edmonton they're going to be tough and the crowd is going to be tough. But they need to do it. And then I kind of have, I know I normally do more on the Wisconsin side, to the GMs out there. Some of you have made what you think are very good business decisions based out of money and contracts. And I get that. You have a tough job. But some of you had made big time mistakes because you have let people go that really held the team together. And I'm talking about the Josh Hader for the Brewers, getting him traded, letting Drew Holiday from the Milwaukee Bucks go, because I really think he was a gel that gelled that team together and he held the defense together. So now we're sitting here looking at the Green Bay Packers and the GM has to make a decision what kind of contract he's going to give Jordan Love, who does not have the years behind him that some of these other quarterbacks are getting paid a lot of money. But do you want him to walk? It'll be interesting to see where the number lies. And there's been talk, I've heard, they're going to try and cap quarterbacks. And here's the thing I'm going to tell you, Jordan. As much as I know you want to be the highest paid and high paid up there, you also want a team around you that is getting paid as well, and not take all of the money for yourself, because then you can't afford the other players, the talent that you want around you to surround you to get you to the ultimate goal of the trophy. So just remember, because we can all say one thing about Tom Brady. He was a good quarterback, and there's no denying that. But he also took cuts and renegotiated his contract to bring other players to have that, not equality, I wouldn't say, but to be able to afford some players around him. That's all I'm going to say is be careful. And yes, Love has played terrible. He wouldn't give him a lot of money for playing good for half the season, and I get that, but he's looking at. I mean, you look at Trevor Lawrence. Look what he got. He just got paid $55 million a year. He hasn't had that many good years.
No, not at all.
So I mentioned that prior to the show. If you actually think about it, his one good year was the same good year that Daniel Jones had.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what's interesting?
One win in the playoffs. And the difference is the Jaguars won because of Riley Patterson, not because Trevor Lawrence threw the game-winning touchdown. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference in that than having your quarterback lead you to a victory.
I've said this many times, Candy and Jeremy, about how, they've overpaid a bunch of quarterbacks who've never even been to a Super Bowl. Look at Kirk Cousins. He's getting $108 million. Okay, here's a guy that's never been to a Super Bowl. Daniel Jones, you mentioned, Jeremy, and then also don't forget Geno Smith in Seattle. I mean, he got big money, and what he had one great season. Oh boy, you know.
But right now, if you look at it, that Geno Smith deal is amazing at $33 million.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Well,
But
we'll see what he does second year without Dave Canellis. So
I've said this in Lions chats. I've said this on my show, and I'll say it right now. I believe every quarterback making $1 more than Patrick Mahomes is overpaid.
I like that. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Well, hey, Russell Wilson's getting 38 million or something from Denver, and then we only got to pay him 1 million. I love it.
I love Megan. She's great. She is a Seahawks fan from Australia. That's why it says
Yes,
Aussie 12 on there.
yes.
There was a good conversation. How many of these guys win a Super Bowl after their massive extensions? Not a lot.
None at all. Exactly.
Well, everybody else says Goff will get us there, but if he was getting us there, guess what? There wouldn't be this really low salary for 2 years and then that big balloon payment in year 3. And I'm trying to stymie that. Goff is trying to break that mold of something that has happened that no other QB in their rookie career or rookie contract has ever done, and that's their first trip to the Super Bowl and lose. None of them have
No,
ever made it
yeah.
back, not once. And I'm hoping Goff breaks that stigma with Detroit, and he's in the best situation to do so.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
but I'm still not saying he will change it.
Well, let me say this, Jeremy. Dan Campbell still has his assistants. I mean, Aaron Glenn didn't go nowhere, and Ben Johnson stayed. He was a coaching candidate. So it's great that he has his coordinators coming back, and you have to go out and look for two of them. So
I would agree with that. Well, with that, guys, it's time to kind of end the show. So let's tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, Mr. Ralph. Why don't you start?
Okay, Ralph Williams 737 at gmail.com. I'll take anybody's emails and respond to them, even if it's offensive, and I've had those already too. So, but anyway, you can catch me on YouTube, Ralph Williams RW Media. Check out all my shows. I have sports shows. I have all different types of shows. I even do a Bible capsule on Sunday. So, check it all out. And then I can be reached on Facebook. I can be reached on Facebook, Twitter, X, and Tumblr. And also, don't forget Saturday, 9 a.m. Myself, Scott Morganroth, and Leo Haggerty, and the External Bum Show. And I'm working on getting us a guest, but we'll see. If not, it's going to be me, Leo, and Scott. We have a lot to talk about, as always.
Amen.
Jeremy, your turn.
All right. Well, you can always find me here on the South Florida Tribune on the Fire Up Show and occasionally on Inside the Big Skin. Because guess what? Football is what I know more than anything. I do know a lot about sports in general, but football is the one where I'm the go-to guest when no one else wants to show. I got to make a little fun when I can. You can also find my writings on the SouthFloridaTribune.com under the Motor City Tribune heading, where you can see my many works on the Detroit Lions and the NFL. You can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, as mentioned by Megan Aussie 12 Gallagher, one of my favorite Seattle fans. She's fun. But I go live Monday through Friday at noon on Roku and Amazon Fire Stick app called Huddle Sports Network. If you want to be able to see this face for radio on TV, just pull up that app. You'll see me 5 times a week, plus the 6th time, Friday night with the Lions Fan Cave Chat. Wednesday night is the NFL Roundtable Talk. And Monday, when my co-host can make it, is the Monday Mashup, where we talk Lions and Giants.
There we go.
Nice.
Oh, I'm sorry, Candy. I forgot to mention Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X platforms. I'm working on Roku, and we're going on TV. Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams, and Smoking Jim Frazier.
Awesome. Awesome, of course.
Someday I'll have Jeremy on, and both Smokings will be on. So there you go.
Ooh, it'll be a smoking.
Yeah, I would love to have that. It's already smoking with the heat here, you know. So
Fry eggs on the pavement.
there you go.
You got it. You got it. Well, this show is sponsored by the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company, which published a book last November called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by Scott Morganroth, and it talks about his 40 plus years in the business. The foreword was written by George Eichhorn, who is also a regular on our shows. You can get it on Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and Google. Audiobook to come later. If you go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, you can read Smoke and Jeremy V's writing. You can read Scott's writing. I take pictures. In fact, we're going to the Marlins game on Sunday to see them play Seattle. We're trying to hit a bunch of the different teams, so we're going to see Seattle come to town. We'll have some pictures up on the site from there. We also have a store, and there's a link to it on our website where you can buy South Florida Tribune merchandise, whatever you want, a hat, baseball cap, a cooler, a sweatshirt, a hoodie, a t-shirt. Go check it out. We'd love for you to buy any of that merchandise. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. If you ever want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott, 954-304-4941. If you see that red subscribe button, that means you have not subscribed to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Please do so. Share us, like us, tell all your friends about us, but also all the different contributors that we have on our network. Please go out and like and share and subscribe to their channels as well. We do this because we love to do this, but we also, we all want to get paid. So share us, like us, subscribe, and watch one of us,
That's my goal, Candy, is to get paid one of these days.
Exactly. It's not an easy business. Scott does a one-on-one interview show on Wednesday nights on nofilter.net. He's talked with numerous people, but they talked about, social media and getting paid and how to get into the business and how it's not as easy. I mean, you look at TV stations, there aren't as many TV stations. And now, you used to have your basic local channels, and now they're going to streaming with all these different networks and stuff like that. Like, look at Charles Barkley, like he's no longer going to, be on TNT, and what are they going to do? And so please, support all of our talent.
Charles Barkley will be fine. He'll become a professional gambler. Maybe
yeah, exactly.
If I forgot anything, it's been scrolling on the bottom of our ticker down there.
There you go.
Look and see whatever I missed. But yeah, go out and buy Scott's book. It talks about how media has changed over the 40 plus years that he's been in the business. It's got a couple of pictures. Got a picture of Muhammad Ali, I can tell you that, and a young Scott.
Yes, I have the book. It's great.
You'd almost think he could be younger than me.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I hear you. Smoking, you want to end us?
Sure. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. We appreciate every one of you. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you share it with your sports fans. And anywhere where they're talking about these legends passing away, like Donald Sutherland, Willie Mays, and so many more we've lost this year. Mm-hmm. Jerry West. There's a coach that just passed away that I was seeing, but I lost the article.
That's fine. I get it. Yes. We'll be back here next Thursday night. We'll see you guys. Have a great week. Enjoy the rest of the Stanley Cup Finals and all the other sports that are going on. Go out and support your local sports team, whether it be college, little league, or whatever. Go have fun and enjoy some sports. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.